So War Thunder is a game that's very, very close to me. I love the game. I think it does very well with historical plane models, historical tank models, and ship models, even though a lot of people don't play ships. If you don't know what War Thunder is, it's a multiplayer combat game that focuses on planes, ships, and tanks from pre-World War II all the way to Desert Storm, going from the P-26P shooter all the way to the F-15E. This game is very, very detailed in the models. They do a great job. They do a great job on the model. This modeling team that Gaijin has, it does a phenomenal job. But no matter how good the game is, and no matter how much planes and tanks and ships and content they give us, we will always want more. And there are a lot of War Thunder content creators that have the list of what vehicles and tanks, planes, ships they want added. So I would like to give my opinion on what I would like to have, and to have a game mode that would open up what vehicles we can have. Because right now, in the base game, we have Air Arcade, Tank Arcade, and Naval Arcade. And on those, you have Air Realistic, Tank Realistic, and Ship Realistic. And then you have your simulator modes. Now, that's about all we have. And we have custom games and all that. But that's the community right there. You know, custom games are what we make of it. Custom maps, modded maps, and all that. So I would think adding a game mode would help a lot. Another game mode would help a lot. And not just any game mode. And we'll get into that in this video. So just stick around and you'll hear about what I propose to Gaijin for that game mode. Well, after that drawn on intro, I think we should get started. And so this is going to be, let's just put a number on it. Let's say 5 planes added to War Thunder. Now, the game mode I propose will allow a lot more aircraft to be in, but we'll get into that later. Number 1 will be the Republic P-35. Now, this aircraft, when you look at it, it is a baby P-47. It's made by Republic. Going into the late 30s, the U.S. Army Air Corps set out a competition for a contract. They wanted a monoplane, all metal, retractable landing gear, enclosed cockpit. They wanted to get away from World War I. They wanted to get away from fabric-built aircraft, biplanes, open cockpits, fixed landing gear. They wanted more sleek, more power out of these aircraft. The P-35 was one that was drawn up for this competition. And the other one, which if you've seen some of my videos, it is the P-36 Hawk. The P-36 Hawk is already in War Thunder. The P-35, nowhere to be seen. But the P-35 actually was chosen. The U.S. Army Air Corps ordered 77 examples on June 16th, 1936. So these actually fought. These actually were ordered. The P-35 was ordered by the U.S. Army Air Corps. It wasn't just for the competition. No, they were made and they were produced for the U.S. Army Air Corps. And the P-35 would be an amazing aircraft to the lower tech tree of U.S. Because you go from in the Air Force side, the Air Corps side, you go from the P-26 to the P-36 to the P-40. And so that's it's a big jump. And only having the P-36 to practice on those low levels is kind of, it works out. The P-36 is a great aircraft, don't get me wrong. But having that diversity, you go into a 1.3 game, you're seeing P-26s, P-36s, and then all the reserve aircraft from Russia, Germany, British, and all of that. So you have biplanes, and then you have these advanced monoplanes for the time. And so I think that the P-35 would be an amazing addition. And going back, a lot of people think, oh, it didn't fight in the war and it really didn't have combat. Even by December 7th, 1941, the 34th Squadron was only equipped with the P-35. The 34th Air Squad was based near Manila. And if you know anything about World War II, the Southwest Pacific was a hot spot for action. These little fighters, they saw their fair share of combat, and even 2 surviving aircraft joined the Bamboo fleet. And the Wildcats, they weren't, a hot rod of aircraft going up against the Zero, very outclassed. But you know what the F4F is? The F4F is in War Thunder, and it fought alongside the P-35, and the P-35 is nowhere to be seen. I think there might have been a event vehicle in it, but it served in the U.S. Army Air Corps, so it should be in War Thunder, in my opinion. Now this next aircraft, I actually had no idea about. I know of the plane that it was based on, and I think everyone does, because it's a wonderful attack aircraft in the American tech tree. But there's a couple things the American tech tree lacks. First of all, really heavy fighters. America really didn't. I mean, we had the P-38 and there's the P-61, but really we don't have enough heavy fighters. Also, we have 2 night fighters. We have the F-6F night fighter and the P-61. And really, I mean, America didn't really do much night fighting, but we did in the Pacific. So I really think that this plane, which is already in the game, so it would be quite easy for them to put this in the tech tree. It is the P-70 night fighter. Now, a lot of you would think, oh, there's no such thing as a P-70. There's no such thing. But early war, America wanted a night fighter. They really wanted one. And we got a few from Britain, the Beaufighter. We used those in North Africa, but we had nothing for the Pacific. We had no American-based night fighter, nothing made from America that could be a night fighter. What did? We grabbed one of our only heavy fighter, but it was more of a ground attacker, the Douglas A-20. So we were already lacking on heavy fighters, and heavy night fighters was non-existent. So during the war, especially early war, we were doing a lot of stopgaps. If you look at the M3 Lee, it was not the best medium tank, but it was able to hold its ground until the M4 got there. If you want to learn about the M3 Lee, check my video right here, or it might be right here, for the forgotten history of the M3 Lee. But the American military were doing a lot of temporary fixes, stopgaps, trying to hold the line until we could get the industry there to make the weapons, vehicles, equipment we needed. So the P-70 allowed us to fight at night, use a night fighter tactic without really designing a plane specifically for night fighting. This new design of the A-20, it did attach a British radar, and it added 20 mils on the belly. So if you think of the P-61, how the 20 mils are on the belly, that's where they were placed. Also, the 650 cals on the nose, they were left intact. So this plane went into battle with 650 cals and 420 millimeters. So the stopping power was there. In the firepower department, it performed very well. The only place it didn't were the engines. The engines were a hinder. Due to all the weight, the 20 mils and the radar, it was fairly slow. So it really wasn't a good pursuit aircraft as the P-61 was. If you don't know, the P-61, so all the different letters in the American aviation field, if you look at the B-17 bomber, C-47 cargo, if you look at, and it even happens today, AC-130 attack cargo. If you look at the F in F-22 fighter, A and A-10 attack. P, we don't use P anymore, but most of all the fighters were P, and that stands for pursuit. We just talked about the P-35, P-35 pursuit. So when you look at the A-20, it was designed as an attack aircraft. Slap a P on it, it's still an attack aircraft. So they didn't upgrade the engines as well as they did the other stats. They didn't, they put the new radar and the 20 mils. So the engines weren't very happy with all that, that added weight. So it wasn't the best at what it did, but it did the job and it did it well for holding out for the P61. But putting it into War Thunder, I think it would work really well. Sometimes Gaijin tweaks the stats of aircraft and they're not as they're intended. I think that, sometimes you can balance a plane, but kind of make it competitive. Also, if this thing was at like 3.0, I think it would do very well at being able to hunt bombers. Even at like 3.3, 3.7, it would be phenomenal at hunting bombers with the 50 cals and the 20 mils. And you still had your defensive gunners. So just seeing how it was designed just to hold up until the P61 got there, I think it should be added. It's a very unique aircraft. I don't think, in the many years I've been studying planes and in this field, I've never heard of the P70. And really, there was only a couple made, but just the fact that it can be such a good bomber hunter. And even if there was a night mode in the game, maybe if we're talking about, what we're talking about for the game implement, maybe we'll see. But I really think it would be a good and fun way to add this plane in. And the next will be across the pond. So in War Thunder, we like our quirky planes. The PO2, with floats. Back in the day, there used to be a big event for floats. And I know there's still some game modes where it's just floats, but most of the time these float planes are reconnaissance, light bombers, PBY Catalina. Germany has some bombers on floats. They have the BV-238, the biggest plane in game, flying boat. The British have the Sunderland. I think there's another good float plane that could be added to the game. And this one would be different because most of the float planes are not fighters. But the thing is, with some research and a little bit of digging, you can find some RAF float planes, being the Spitfire. Now, there were a couple models of the Spitfire that did have floats. They look really cool though. Honestly, it's kind of like, well, let me go back. The Zero does have floats. I don't think they have the Rex in the game, but I know the Zero has floats. And that plane is pretty fun because it's very agile, but you can land on the water. So having another plane like that as the Spitfire having floats, it would just be such a fun ad. It probably wouldn't play very well, and that's kind of why they got rid of like the Kingfishers. Honestly, I like the Kingfisher. It's such a different aircraft, and it wasn't built to fight or bomb. It was built to spot. It was built, launched off a catapult on a battleship and go do some recon on the ocean. So just like that, the planes don't have to have a specific spot in them to make it. I know they cost, development time and modeling and all that. But two of these planes I've already brought up, they're already in the game. They just need to change the skin and what they have on it. And it just, just a little bit to the flight model. But I think it'd be worth it. Giving more low-end content for players, especially right now. The game is so popular, but all the fun and all the new additions are top tier. And I'm not saying anything about the F-18 is great. The F-15Es, the Su-30s, Su-33s, Su-27, but everyone strives to top tier because it looks like the most fun, because that's where all the new stuff is getting added. And, through all the updates, they'll put one or two low tier planes, maybe mid tier planes in, but there hasn't been a sole focused prop update since really jets have been the big thing now. And so I think if they focus more on these fun low tier aircraft, I think it would be more the grind. It would lengthen the grind, but it would make the grind more diverse, more fun. Let the people that, are in those lower tiers have some unique aircraft that they can go fly around and they don't have to fight. They can go land in water and, be a boat if they wanted to. You know, go hang out with the naval guys. So I think just the addition of this float Spitfire would be so good for the community, so good for the game, and break it up and not have it be just jets and jets and jets and missiles and missiles and missiles. It would bring light to low tier. So if you think that you would love to see a float Spitfire in the game, you know, comment down below. Comment down below what other, you know, float planes and unique planes you'd want to see in War Thunder. Because we don't have to be mainstream. We don't have to have, you know, the planes that only flew the most missions. Let's get the planes in there that didn't fly that many missions, but they were still there in the background. So that's it for the float Spitfire. We have one more main plane, and then we'll get to that special treat. And if you are liking this face-to-face video, please let me know. I usually do cinematics and videos from War Thunder, but today I just thought I could get it, you know, but today I just wanted to try this. Be face-to-face, share my opinions on what I would love to see added to the game. And also, these additions would be grateful, and these additions would help my channel out because I love going over the unique and not very well-known vehicles. And my series Forgotten History. Oh, actually. So if you do like these videos, I will do more. I would discuss different aircraft and talk about stories and missions that don't necessarily need a background footage of aircraft flying or tanks driving or ships sailing. So if you do like this, please let me know in the comments. Give me feedback. You know, hit it with a like. If you don't like it, give it a dislike. I don't care. Your feedback is your feedback, and that's how I grow. So if you love this kind of style, if you love this style, and you want to if you love this style and you want me to continue, please let me know. All right, now let's get back to the video. Now this aircraft is a little up there in the BR. It's about, I would put it at 6.3. So everyone knows of the Gloucester Meteor, Britain's first operational jet. Everyone knows the Meteor has the clipped wings, engines in the wings. It's a good looking craft. You know, knowing me, I like my props. I like my prop planes. And this would technically be a prop plane, but not. The next plane is the Trent Meteor. Now this thing is exactly a Meteor, but with an engine swap. So we have the Wyvern and we have the A2D1 Sky Shark, but those are the only turboprops, if I'm not mistaken. And both of those are counter-rotating props. And the Trent, it's just a single prop on each engine. It would be a great addition having a twin turboprop engine fighter. Now, technically, they did not get weapons added to them, but it is a Gloucester Meteor that they just swapped in turboprop engines. So maybe they could do some little tweaking like we were talking about with the P70, but it would still be a fun addition to 6.3, having a mid-tier, mid-BR jet, but get props on it. And it would just sound amazing because turboprops are the best sounding engine around. I'm gonna say it. That's my hot take. But so that ended up for what I have on planes. The next topic is a little bit deeper, but this I would feel would change War Thunder for much better. It will change the fundamentals and the way anyone could, because you don't, you know, a lot of times there's people that will go into ARB, get up, fly for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, get shot down, go right back to hangar, and they don't earn anything on the grind. They earn, you know, pennies on the grind. So I really think that this would help War Thunder's grind issue, make it more fun, and really make it more team effort. So let's get into that right now. So I haven't heard anyone talk about this kind of game mode. I know there's a lot of people that say we need a rework in bombers so we can get the B-52, the B-2, the B-1, bigger strategic bombers. And there's a lot of bombers even in the Vietnam era we don't have. And just like British, they have the Avro Vulcan, and they say it's never getting added. But why not? This game mode, I feel it would help out a lot of aircraft, even ones that can't fight. So let's get into it. So a lot of game modes, a couple strategic points. You either shoot down all the enemies, shoot as many ground targets as you can, or as in arcade, you cap the points. And in tank battles, you cap the points as well. But in this one, I feel like there could be more. There could be a lot more. It could be more of like a Arma game. And it mixing sim and ARB. So if you play sim, you know there are bigger maps. There's more points to hit for bombing targets and all that. So bringing in bigger maps and forming it as like an Arma based game. You have to build up bases, cap points, deliver cargo, bomb enemy bases, destroy enemy logistics. These would help a lot because you wouldn't just be flying to a target, bombing, and then going back to base. Or you wouldn't be flying up, shooting as many people as you get down, and then going back to base to rearm. So if you have a massive map and one team spawns over here, the other one spawns way over here, but there are air bases in between there scattered through the maps that you can build up, and you can make them better, bigger, be able to house bigger bombers, quicker reloads, quicker repairs, but you would need an aircraft to do that. So this would introduce cargo aircraft, C-47s, C-54s. And so this would allow, first of all, more trees to be added. You have cargo, and then you could also, as everyone knows, the C-47, if you have an enemy base that you want to take over, you fly your C-47, pick up paratroopers, and drop them over the base to capture it. Like, just hearing that, it just sounds so fun. It would be a longer game mode, as like sim goes for a while. You don't get in and play 5 minutes and then you're done. It goes on for hours. So it could be a longer game mode. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes and you're done. I mean, a lot of games do this. Hell Let Loose, even IL-2 Stormvic, it did this back before War Thunder was just an infant. So it can work. It definitely can work in War Thunder engine. And I know they're doing a lot of seed events, trying out new equipment and new stuff. They need to just release a beta or a test for these game modes. And really what they could be called is operations. So it's not just you going up and fighting as many people as you can, getting as many kills as you can. But no, it's working as a team to capture the map. And I really think that it would go smoothly in the game. Being able to fly like the Ju-52 and drop German paratroopers over a base, it just sounds so cool. Escorting would actually be a thing. You can escort cargo planes to a base to resupply. So you can now fly to that base without having to go 10 miles or 20 miles back to your original spawn point. And strategic bombing could be a thing in that. The system now, you spawn up way up in 15,000 feet in the air, and then you just fly straight, get over your target, boom, you drop your bombs. And then the bad thing is, if you're in a B-17, an A-26 dives down and steals your base, and then you have to fly all the way back to your base, drop 20,000 feet, and then either stay low to the ground or climb all the way back up to get another base. It just doesn't work for the grind. It doesn't work for the fun. You go up in a bomber, you get shredded because there's interceptors already up in your altitude before you even get to the bomb location. So first of all, give everyone, and I understand there's intercept and no, give everyone ground spawns in this game mode. Everyone has to spawn on the ground, and that's where you plan and you divert and you go to the specific points you need to. I'll go ahead and wrap it up into a nice package with a bow on top. Operations. You spawn in, massive map. I mean massive. You have 2 spawn points on the opposite sides of the map, nowhere close to each other. And you have to go and capture point, and get closer to the enemy by capturing these points with cargo planes, bombing fortifications, bombing logistics, going in. So just like this, you would have a couple bridges, and in that you wouldn't bring in a B-17 to take out one bridge. B-17s would be going in for factories and cargo ports and cargo depots, ammo depots, stuff that's needed and that's, you know, much bigger than in a base. So what that single bridge would do is not let the enemy move forward, but it would give targets for attacking aircraft. A-26s, A-20s, even like a B-25. B-25s could go in low, boom, hit the bridge and be done. So this game mode would be able to add a bunch of different cargo, more night fighters. Radar would actually be a thing. I didn't even touch on reconnaissance aircraft. You could have a German Stork in there flying around, getting enemy positions. The potential of operations is limitless. You could put whatever you want in the game and add so many historical aircraft to War Thunder that would not fit right now. So if you think that operations would work and what you would like to see added, put it down in the comments. Let's see if we can get Gaijin to look at this video and say, man, that does sound pretty good. Because the grind right now, you get in the hangar, pick your aircraft, hit ready to battle. You get into battle, pick your armament, load your fuel, take off, and on top tier, you're on the ground. You are on the deck. You're on the deck because these missiles are beyond visual range, but you spawn in visual range. You're, 15 miles away from the enemy's base. And it's just, it doesn't work. It's, sweaty. The grind is crazy. What is that? The grind is just crazy. And I feel like just freshening up low and mid tier would just help so much. So if you agree with me, put it down in the comments what you would like to see add. If you don't agree with me, let me know how operations would not work or what would you change that would make it better. So that's all I have for today. Again, if you like seeing this face-to-face content, where I just talk and ramble, leave it down in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to like it. If you disliked it, go ahead and dislike it. It's your opinion, and I'm not gonna hold you for granted on that. I'm not gonna get mad at that. You're still viewing my video, and I appreciate that. Also, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. And if you have any suggestions for future videos for these rambles, put it out in the comments and I will try to get to it. Other than that, this is perhaps Mayfield 31, and I'll see y'all in the next flight.